Hi, welcome to another video from TOGAtech. My name's Dave. In my previous video we built the left and right consoles of an A10 Warthog Cockpit Simulator. Now we did this using designs which were full-size templates produced of PDF files. Now you can use the same method for that to produce this main instrument panel, but I'm going to go down a slightly different route. I've printed off scaled diagrams of the panels necessary to produce this instrument panel, and I'm going to be working from those diagrams and marking it directly onto my MDF sheet, and then I can cut it out from there. I'll leave a link in the description where you can see the previous video. If you haven't seen it already, I recommend watching it first. It will take you through the stages of where to get the files from, all your design modifications, how to print off your full-size templates, etc. Okay, so I'll leave a link in the description for that, or you can click here, or it might be this side, here, and go straight to that video. Okay, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who's liked and subscribed to my channel, and let's start marking this out and get this MIP on the go. Right, this MIP main instrument panel for the A10 is made up of several parts. You've got the front bulkhead panel, you've got the top shelf, the middle shelf, the external side panels, the internal side panels, and the main instrument bulkhead. Now all I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through just building one panel, and then I'll go through, do a time lapse of all the other panel cutouts. So I'm going to start with the front bulkhead, which is our major shape for this main instrument panel. Now I'm using 12mm MDF here, and I'm going to take the dimensions straight off of my plan drawing. I'll leave a link to my Dropbox where you can download all of these, and we're going to mark out our first panel. The biggest piece by far is this piece, which is 834mm wide by 776mm tall. So let's see if we can get that marked out on here. So that's 776 tall. Let's see if I've got enough here. Yeah, that's 800 wide, and it's 834 wide. So yeah, I've got plenty of room on this piece of MDF. So let's just start marking that out. Give yourself plenty of space. You need a few bits of equipment: square, a ruler, a long straight edge, pencil, and obviously your drawing. Okay, so the first piece is 834 wide by 776 tall. So 834mm wide. Now I managed to get this all out of one sheet, one 8x4 sheet of 12mm MDF. I'll leave a copy of my cutting plan for the sheet, and luckily my local DIY shop can cut this into manageable sizes for this project. So that's our 834 wide. They also cut it in manageable sizes and square, which is lovely. 34. that's our width, and then our height is going to be 776 high. 776. So I had these cut rough sizes. There was very little waste as well. 776. That's it, so that's our main area. And then it's just a case of following and plotting out all the dimensions from your plan onto your timber. Okay, just going to work my way through it. Okay, there we have it. I've marked out everything from my diagram onto my MDF timber. I'm now going to take this out to the workshop and cut it out. Now, I did find there were a couple of measurements missing on here. Mainly the radius of this arc at the top here and the angle at which that 179 cutout works out, but I shall investigate that, and by the end of this video I'll update this plan to have the angles and the radius on it. Okay, right, I'm going to run this out to the workshop now and cut it all out, and I'll come back to you. Well, here it is. This is my finished cutout of my panel. This is the front bulkhead panel. Now it does have a hole cut in the centre here to allow for access for cables and that, but I don't actually require that, so I've left that in there despite having marked it up. Now this is all cut from, as I said, 12mm MDF. Do wear eye protection and definitely a mask with MDF, because this dust can get into your lungs and it's really bad for you. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to work my way through the series of plans. You can download these, don't forget, from my Dropbox. I'll leave a link in the description. I'm going to work my way through all the various pieces for the main instrument panel, get them cut out, and then I'll come back to you and show you how to assemble them. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you in a bit. Here we have the external support panels, and here we have the internal support panels. Now you can see in this picture here that I've reduced the width of my support panels. This is because the area in which I'm building my A10 cockpit, I haven't got a lot of depth on it, so I've had to make the whole cockpit itself shorter. As you've seen in the previous video, I had to reduce the length of the side consoles, so the same as with this part of the main instrument panel, I have to reduce the depth of the main instrument panel to the amount of area in which I've got to build it. If you're building this as a replica, you can stick to the full size plans of the cockpit and keep everything at its full depth, but here, as you can see, I've had to reduce it by, it's roughly about 100mm I've had to reduce it by, that's all. Because of the complexity of the front panel, where all the dials and switches go, it would have taken me a lot longer to plot this out manually. So in the end I decided to go down the route of printing off the full-size PDF files and joining them all together, obviously doing a poster print. If you don't quite see what's going on here, I do recommend you look at my previous video, the part 1. It shows you how to print these files off in a poster template on a standard A4 printer. And you can see here I've joined all the A4 sheets up to make the full-size PDF template for the front panel. Now here you can see there are cutouts for the various switches and dial boxes, which you can add to this front panel later if you choose to do so. The PDF templates I'll leave in my Dropbox file. Here I've cut out the PDF file and I've placed it on top of my MDF ready for cutting out. The larger square you can see overlaid in the centre of this PDF file is for my touchscreen monitor. However, if you're going to build this as a replica of the A10, you'd need to cut out these sections here. Now what I've done, I've cut them out with a sharp knife, a scalpel blade, and then I've marked them out with a felt marker, Sharpie, and these are all the sections that need cutting out on this MDF sheet. Now as I said earlier, the large square in the centre I'm cutting out because I'm going to be using my touchscreen monitor with a piece of software called Helios, which will imitate all the dials and controls of the standard panel. All the shaded areas are the sections I'm going to be cutting out. And there we are. I'm going to take this along now to my workshop and cut that out, and then give the there we are. I'm just cutting out the panels now, and I'm cutting out the large square in the centre that will house my touchscreen monitor. Now we just give all the panels a coat of matte black paint. And in the next section we'll start assembly. Right, here we are back from the workshop. All the parts have been cut out and painted. Here we have the front panel. Now, as I said before, this one I'm doing for my monitor to fit in there, my touchscreen monitor. So that's why I've cut a large hole instead of all the instrument holes. I've still kept these little cut throughs here, which we're going to have for our landing gear handle and our flaps control. They're still going to go here, and there'll be another switch panel over this side as well. That's the front panel. We've got the front bulkhead panel. Everything's been painted up in matte black paint. These are our two inner supports. They're the two inner supports. That's our middle shelf external supports. Two of those external supports. As you remember, I reduced mine down the depth because I've got limited space. And a top shelf. Now I'm going to try and assemble all of this here because my workshop's too small and too cold, so I'm going to try and assemble it here on this table. Okay, I'm going to do a time lapse assembling it all. I'm just going to be using PVA wood glue and a variety of screws. I'm going to put it all together and see how that looks. We're going to be doing the glare shield part of the A10 main instrument panel now. And we'll be doing this in exactly the same way as we've done a lot of parts. Here I have printed out the full-size PDF file, which you can download, don't forget, from my Dropbox. I've printed it out as a poster print using ADOBE ACROBAT PDF reader. It actually spans over 3 pages. I've cut out the template, and what I'm going to make this glare shield from is what we've used previously, which is this 5mm foam board. So I'm just going to use sheets of this to build up a 3D glare shield for the A10. Okay, so let's get on and do that. Got various sizes of foam board. There's a piece here that looks about the right length. What I'm going to do is pin down my template on here, and then we can cut this out. So all I've got left to do now is put the top cover on the glare shield and paint it matte black. I produced some stickers or decals for the front of the fire pull handles. I've done this in Photoshop, and I'll leave these in the Dropbox as well. And here it is all together, fitted on the main instrument panel in my cockpit, and I'm very pleased with the results. I've added a few green LEDs along the top there as well, and I'm extremely happy with it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this second video in the series. The third video we shall be building the ejector seat, and I hope you join me for that one. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks again. Take care.